See, I was wondering why people on Twitter were saying that the Bengals are falling apart. The Bengals are falling apart. You know, it feels like Chicken Little. You know, like the sky is falling, right? And I thought to myself, I'm like, well, I wonder if there's like a pundit saying something about this whole situation. But there's no way, right? Because Nick Wright, recently, he's actually been pretty damn, like, okay, insufferable. Like, he's been actually speaking some facts. But there's three things in life: death, taxes, and, yeah, Nick Wright. So, are we surprised that Nick Wright is going back to his old ways? Instead of speaking logical, the man just taking a 180, jumping into the skinny dipping pond, Speedo and all. Let's go ahead and just get right into this.
Bengals drafting at 18 tonight as they look to add to their team. On the flip side, two players looking to leave the team. T. Higgins asked for a trade in March. He recently said, like, hey, by the way, that's still standing. I still want out of here. And defensive end Trey Hendrickson said, by the way, I want out too. Nick, negotiating tactic or are the Bengals in real trouble?
Well, I don't know. Who are the best players on their team last year? Let's talk about it. Running back's gone. Joe Mixon. Brew loves him. Hendrickson had 17.5 sacks. He's just got $21 million extension a year ago. He's unhappy. He's like, and I read today he might go back to the Bengals. He has demanded the trade and he's considering retirement. So we call this the full.
I'm sure that retirement.
The full list.
Which again, I still think absolutely hilarious. He's considering retirement after 2 years on the Bengals if he doesn't get a long-term contract because he doesn't want to hit free agency when he's 32 years old, which I guess does make sense to a certain degree. But again, that's why I hate pundits so much. You have to put that in, like, because people listen to this and they just think, oh, he's considering retirement right now. No, he's considering retirement in the future. If he was considering retirement right now, he wouldn't even trade. He wouldn't even ask for a trade request. And by the way, how has that worked out for T. Higgins and Trey Hendrickson? Oh, that's right. The Bengals don't care. Like, they're not even interested in entertaining it.
Worried about
Full list of options. T. Higgins doesn't want to be there because they don't want to pay him. I thought that Browning was quite good last year, but he's their backup quarterback because Joe Burrow's coming back, thankfully. Yeah, I like Browning. I thought he played well as a backup quarterback. Listen, good thing you've built a roster to beat Kansas City. Bad thing, you're not going to get an opportunity to beat them in the playoffs for a few years now. Like this team's.
What? But here's the.
What? What?
There we go. We're back, folks. We are back. All right. So, you're not going to be able to beat KC in the playoffs in a few years because of this situation. First thing he listed with Joe Mixon leaving. Joe Mixon leaving sucks, right? I love Joe Mixon. Great player, gives us a lot of upside, gives us a lot of potential. But at the end of the day, we replaced him with Zach Moss, and I think Zach Moss is a very capable replacement, okay? So that's number one. All right, but he's really talking about the T. Higgins and Trey Hendrickson trade. First off, sorry, it's almost like a clown show. Trey Hendrickson's on the team for the next 2 years, bro. Oh, well, now you guys won't be able to beat the Chiefs for the next couple years. Really? Because I'm pretty sure Trey Hendrickson's on the team for the next 2 years. And again, he's only asking for retirement or even saying he's going to retire if he doesn't get a contract when his contract runs out. He wants long-term security. It wouldn't help him to retire right now. How would he want long-term security to retire right now? He's going to retire in 2 years because he doesn't want to hit free agency in 2 years. And even then, it's all just a scare tactic slash a trying to force the Bengals' hand, which again has proven very much it's not working. And also, well, you can't beat the Chiefs in the next couple of years because you're losing T. Higgins. T. Higgins is on contract this year. He's franchise tagged this year. There is no indications, no reason why he wouldn't go out there and play his heart out and play great football. He wants to hit free agency next year and get a big payday, right? But there's also a chance that we franchise tag him again and pay him $26 million. So it's very possible that we have T. Higgins for the next 2 years and we have Trey Hendrickson for the next 2 years. this is the sky is falling bullcrap I see all over Twitter, and I see where it stems from. Because it stems from, you know, the nest of the whole issue here. Like, come on, Nick Wright. For the longest time, there was a time period where you were, like, logical. And now you're back to this.
What? They're in trouble, but not for that. So what? T. Higgins requested a trade. Guess what he said 2 weeks ago? I expect to be back in Cincinnati. Yeah. That's what he said. All right? Just so what, Trey Hendrickson?
Because players can't sit down anymore. And this is not the old days. This is the new era, okay? You can't, as a player, you can't just sit out and not play and refuse to play. You'll get fined $500,000 per game that you sit out. If you decide, oh, I'm just not going to play, there is fines for that. And if you don't play a certain amount of games, you're not playing the season. And, or your season doesn't count. And if you refuse to play, how does that look to other teams out there that want to sign you? I know you're like, well, if the guy's good enough, teams won't care. Yes, they do. They care when they see a player not playing because he wants money. They do care. Because they know if they're in this situation too, they will be in the exact same spot as the Cincinnati Bengals. There's no difference. Just because you go out there and pay him 6 years, whatever money, what happens at the end of his contract now when he wants to get paid? And, you know, it's not enough for him anymore. And the salary cap's going up. Is he going to sit out too? Is he going to refuse to play too? Teams look at these things when signing deals. Especially when you're giving someone a lot of money.
Requested a trade. The Bengals have said, we have no interest in trading him. If Trey Hendrickson and Higgins want the big bag, what are they going to have to do? Go back to Cincinnati and play their butts off.
And even then, I don't think Trey Hendrickson wants the big bag, quote unquote. He just wants to be on the team guaranteed for more years. It's not that he wants more money, because he can't get more money over the next 2 years anyway. According to, again, Section 8 of the NFLPA ruling, over the next within 12 months, he cannot get more money for his said contract, which is the next 2 years. So, in theory, all he would be doing is getting maybe like 2 or 3 more years added to his current contract. And even then, it probably wouldn't be like crazy bag money. Because again, by that time, the salary cap is going up so much, what is crazy bag money? So in reality, Trey is not even chasing the bag here. He's just chasing a long-term contract, which I still think is idiotic because you agree to terms of a 2-year deal. That's it. That's period. And I do agree with him about that, you know, if they want the bag, they have to go back and play their butt off because then they'll get paid from another team. But again, with T's situation, we can always franchise tag him, pay him $26 million. And then for Trey, he's on contract 2 years. The reason why the Bengals are not caring / even entertaining this is because they have these guys locked up for 2 years. There's no reason to even entertain this bullcrap.
It behooves them to have the best season of their career. And they'll be fine. Now, I think Cincinnati, I'm not going to say in trouble, but I think they got a tough road ahead of them because of the division, but not because these two guys have requested trade.
I agree we have a tough division with Derrick Henry, which I'm not really too scared of. More I think about it, he's 30 years old. But at the end of the day, we have the 6th easiest schedule going into next season, okay? On paper, in every way possible, we improved since last season. We couldn't shut down the run. We got 2 new D tackles who are pure run stuffers. We couldn't pass rush. We got Sheldon Rankins, who's a true pass rusher. Our secondary was a problem last year with injuries. Well, guess what? Now Dax Hill is a cornerback. Probably pick up another cornerback in free agency. We just drafted Josh Newton. And we got Geno Stone and Jordan Battles coming back for another year. And Tyson Anderson. Like, in every way possible. Our right tackle was a problem. We got Trent Brown. We also drafted Marius Mims. Our running back situation was fine. I think in a way we did improve to a certain degree. Our receiver position had injuries. Well, we got even more receivers. In every way possible, we improved since last year. The only difference from this year and last year is that we have an easier schedule. Yes, listen, at the end of the day, there is no, bullcrapping that this is going to be a tough division. I don't really care too much about the Steelers' moves, and I don't think the Justin Fields, Russell Wilson sweepstake really scared me at all. It really doesn't. The Brownies will always be the Brownies, so they'll always play us tough. But even then, I think they have a good roster, but I'm not too scared of them. The only team I'm really scared of is Baltimore. And again, you look at last year, the games we lost against the AFC North. Obviously, we beat the Browns in the last week of the season, but those games came down to the fact that Joe was not healthy. Week 2, we should have won that game versus Baltimore. That was our game to lose. Throwing that interception to Geno Stone was absolutely stupid of Joe, and we got him on the team. Week 1, Cleveland kicked our butts. There's nothing to talk about there. That is what it is, right? The second game versus the Ravens, I felt like we were going to win that game if Joe doesn't go down with injury, which, again, it sucks. We beat the Browns second time, cool. Both Pittsburgh games, I think both Pittsburgh games, if we had Joe, I think we could have won. Maybe not the first one, but the second one, definitely. So, again, listen, at the end of the day, we had a very rough season. We went through a lot of injuries. Cam Taylor-Britt got hurt. DJ Reader got hurt. Poison Ivy got hurt. Joe got hurt. I mean, we went through pretty much the thick and thins of Sam Hubbard went down. Trey Hendrickson went down. Is this year going to have injuries? Probably. Absolutely, right? But that's part of dealing with diversity. But again, that's why we went out there and got 2 D tackles that shut down the run. That's why we're getting multiple tight ends. Last year, we didn't have a tight end group because, oh yeah, I forgot. I didn't mention that, right? We actually got more tight ends. And Irv Smith was a bust. And it sucks, right? Things like that are going to happen, though. You're going to have things that kind of set you back. This year, because of all those setbacks, we are in a prime position to be a way better team this year. So, are we in trouble? In no way are we in trouble. I don't even understand the narrative. T is on contract for a year. Trey's on contract for 2 years. This team has only gotten better in every way possible since last season with an easier schedule. There's no way we're in quote-unquote in trouble.
Remember all the years where everybody wanted out of Cincinnati because it was so bad and it was so poorly run, and they didn't have any good guys, and it went on and on. Now they're in a situation where they've got to pay a lot of people because they're a good team, and that's a high-class problem. So T. Higgins is getting $21 million in the franchise tag. That's terrible. I mean, I'm sure, you know.
He wants a long-term deal.
Yeah, we all want a long-term deal, but that's not the situation. That's what he's got. And then with
I don't understand that narrative either. He gets a $21 million fully guaranteed contract. Now, listen, okay? That obviously compared to the best receivers in the league who are making up to $30 million a year. I think A.J. Brown just got paid $32 million per year for 3 years. But the question is T. Higgins equal to A.J. Brown? No. I think A.J. Brown is better than T. Higgins. So, in reality, for T. Higgins' skill set, and I still think he's a top 10 receiver in the NFL, don't get me wrong, but with his injury history, and again, being a top 10 receiver, $21 million fully guaranteed is nothing. Is not like it's nothing. That's a good salary, especially for, again, I know if he hit, you know, the open market and got paid, he'd get more money per year. But can we stop acting like that is just a small little deal? Like he's getting paid the $4 million on his rookie contract? Like that's a good amount of money. And any team he would sign with, first off, that probably wouldn't be fully guaranteed, the full $21 million. And they would probably backload his contract with that being said, of it being like $21 million, maybe $25 million, maybe $26 million. Like, that's not like it's a small amount of money. They could franchise tag him again, which is a guaranteed $26 million fully guaranteed contract, which again, with his injury history, I think is probably the best for him. And it's just like, I don't know where the narrative here is that we're paying T. Higgins $2 million or $500,000 for nothing. We're paying him a good amount of money. Like, he's getting paid a lot. Even though he's not getting paid $30 million. But the question is, if he had free agency, would he really get $30 million? Justin Jefferson just turned that down. And even A.J. Brown, again, who won the best receivers in the league, got 32, but he didn't win the best in the league. So I don't know how much I buy that crap.
With the other situation, you go in, you ask for an extension, you get a $21 million one-year extension, and I'm sure he said, and then I'll be happy. And then the next year you walk in, you're like, hey, I'm not happy again.
17.5 sacks.
I want some more money. Okay, well talk to your agent. They can't even renegotiate the contract by league rules for another 3 months.
No, but they could give him more years on the back end. There's things they can't renegotiate it. That's true.
But I've been through that situation. When I first got to the Jets, guy came in and said, I'm unhappy with my contract. And I said, okay, well, we'll look at it. So we talked about it. We gave him a little bit more money. And he said, oh, I'm so happy. And the next year, guess what he did?
Yeah.
I'm unhappy with my contract.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about before. And that's the problem. And it's a domino effect because now, you know, you give I'm not saying this in any way about Trey Hendrickson, but I'm saying you give the baby what he wants and he keeps asking for more, right? You keep giving handouts and it's going to keep happening more and more and more. And what happens here is that it's not just with Trey anymore. Now it's going to be with another player. And another player is going to think of it. And another player is going to do it. And now it's going to become to a point where every player is going to sign contracts, but then they're like, oh, we want more. We want more. We don't accept that. We don't accept that. And you're creating a domino effect. It's just going to keep happening. And at some point, you got to put your foot down as an organization and say, no, that's not right. We're not going to keep just giving in. We're not going to keep just giving everything. You agreed to a term. You agreed to a contract. And if Trey is unhappy with it, then he needs to, again, fire his agent and get a new agent. Because clearly his agent did not work out the contract that he wanted. At the end of the day, it is what it is. Now, again, like Nick Wright is actually very right here, actually, ironically enough, is that he can get a deal extended on to his current contract, which is he currently has 2 years, $21 million. He can get extended on to that, so he can't rework the 2 years. He has to get paid what we agreed on the 2 years. Thank you, NFLPA, by the way, for that. Because literally you agreed to a contract and then try to back out of it, which is so stupid. Nonetheless, though, he can get extended years onto that. Which, again, the retirement would only happen if he doesn't get those extended years. Which, I think at this point, I don't know if the Bengals would refuse to add extended years if he didn't piss to fit like he is doing right now and crying like a baby and threatening to retire or trade. So I think now what's happening is, and again, this is how the Bengals work, they do not like to, okay, okay, I'm saying, what I'm about to say is not directed toward Trey Hendrickson. But at the same time, it's the same mentality. We don't negotiate with terrorists. It's not directed toward him, but that's kind of the mentality of we don't negotiate with terrorists here, okay? You want to sit there and you want to threaten us, you want to do this, this, and this, and they were you going to do this and this, do it. Do it and tell me how it goes. And what you end up doing is called, the mentality is called calling someone's bluff. That's exactly what they're doing Trey Hendrickson. They're calling him bluff. Oh, you want to retire? Go do it. Tell me how it is. Oh, you don't want to retire anymore because now we called you bluff? That's the mentality.
And just like the team can sign him to an extension. Instead of having 17.5 sacks, he had 0.5 sacks. They would have cut him.
Ask for a long-term deal when they're willing to do a deal.
The most, to me, interesting thing Coach said there was, remember when Cincinnati, nobody wanted to play there because they didn't think they were well-run, they didn't pay their guys? Yeah, I remember that.
No,
evidently, that's this
they
morning.
Didn't pay their guys.
Evidently, that's today because two of their best players have demanded trades because they haven't got...
We just gave him an extension. We're paying him good money over the next 2 years. Yeah, we're not paying him top-end money. He's 30 years old. He agreed to money that he wants to get paid. We worked with his agent, gave him a contract, said, hey, listen, this is what you want. This is what we want to pay you. And he said, oh, that's perfectly fine. How has that anything to do with Cincinnati not paying their players? We gave him what he wanted. It's not like we said, oh, we're not going to work with you. We don't want to sign you. And again, the T. Higgins situation, I feel like that's less of, well, Bengals not paying the players. I think that's more of a strategic plan. And the reason why I say that is because this draft class was very good at wide receiver. We drafted a wide receiver. We have Yoshi, who looked really good. I guarantee you, if Yoshi looked really crap last year and looked absolutely dog water, T. Higgins probably would have a contract right now. But T going down with injury, you got to take these things in consideration. The thing the Bengals do not do, and maybe in the past they didn't pay their players over the years, but this is a new era under, Zach Taylor. Obviously, Duke Tobin's been here forever, but this is a new era. The mentality is, you can't just act like a 3-year-old child and go out there and say, everyone's getting money, everyone's getting money. That doesn't work. You have to play this smart. You have to have the upper advantage. You have to make sure that you're not just paying players to pay players, because then you end up running yourself into debt, running yourself into nothing, and you lose as a franchise. This is not... One thing about football, right? In every football season, this is not a sprint. This is a marathon. Okay? I know everyone, like, all the Rams recent, paying to win a Super Bowl, going all out there, getting all these players just to go win a Super Bowl. That mentality is nice, sweet, and oh, that's amazing. It doesn't work for long-term success, though. It's a right now, quick, plug-and-play, Band-Aid on the problem. And that's just not how this all is going to work successfully. To be a successful team, you're going to lose your top players sometimes. You're going to. And you as a team have to be okay with that and be able to draft and replace those players and understand the fact that, yeah, that guy's going to leave. You can't just sit there and pay every single big player. I don't understand why people don't understand this people don't understand, people keep kind of ignoring this fact. It is a lot of money to pay that much money for 2 wide receivers, right? And I said many times, well, you want Justin Jefferson. Don't you want Justin Jefferson? Justin Jefferson and T. Higgins are not in the same category. They're not in the same planet, okay? You're talking about paying, at that point, which, again, Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson said they would take pay cuts to have them all on one team. Joe has said it too. So that's in no way the same situation. But T. Higgins is a low-end, I would say a mid-range, low-end wide receiver 1. To pay that, to pay that guy and then a high-end number 1, one of the best in the league, in Jamar Chase, is idiotic. You can't do that. So, again, it's a system to these things. And I know as fans, we fall in love with these players, right? And I love T. T is my favorite player. Number 1 on the Bengals the last 5-6 years has been T. But at the end of the day, you can't just sit there and play based on emotions, based on who you like, who you love, whatever. You can't do that. That's not how you run business. That's not how you're successful. That's not how you win Super Bowls. You can't just sit there and say, oh, well, woe was me, what I want. Because guess what? If you do that, you're going to run yourself into the ground, have zero money in your salary cap, and now you're not going to be able to do anything. You can't build through free agency, and you can't build through re-signing players. There's a reason why the Steelers were so successful for so long when they didn't re-sign wide receivers. And the reason why was because they were able to draft another guy and replace him. There's a long thing with the Steelers where there's only a couple players, I think it's like 2 or 3 players, who ever got a second contract as wide receiver for the Steelers. One of them was Antonio Brown. You saw how that worked out, right? Second was Hines Ward. And third was Juju Smith-Schuster. There's a reason why Steelers did that for so long. Because they could draft a new receiver, they could get a new face in town, and you don't have to pay him big boy money. This is back before the crazy contracts.
Extensions. So yes, I remember all the way back when that happened this morning.
I'm sure he's going to retire.
Okay, I'm not going to retire.
Jonah Williams
Nick's going to retire too.
Played the whole season.
And now he's gone, and they're still looking for cap.
They might be gone in the future.
The Chargers' chances of draft.
Yeah, and again, like I said, Jonah Williams requested the trade, and nothing ever happened there. He played the whole entire season, played his butt off, He sucked, but he played his butt off. This new mentality of, if I'm not happy, I request a trade just to force the hand of the team to actually go ahead and trade me or give me a new contract. I'm kind of liking the fact that, you know, the teams aren't even entertaining it. Because what you're doing, you're killing that narrative that that's going to work. And listen, again, I want players to get paid correctly. I want players to make the most money in their franchise possible. But there is a way to go about things, and there's a way to do things, and that's just not the way to do things. You have to do things smartly, professionally, and crying on social media like Brandon Ayuk, having your brother go on social media and talk trash about the team. That's not how you go about things. Yeah, you might end up going ahead and getting thrown off the team, but again, you're now being checked off from a lot of other teams. And now you're being known as that guy that does that stuff. And again, like I said, maybe it's like, well, I make the most money. Who cares? Who cares? And I guess maybe that's the mentality nowadays when it comes to some players. It's like, throw out the idea of personality. Throw out the idea of, like, legacy that you live or legacy that you leave. But it's just, I don't know. I'm an OKC fan, okay? We lost, what's his name? KD. I call him piece of crap. Because he wanted to go chase rings with Golden State. Now he's on, well, I think he's on the Suns now. I know he was on the Nets for a little bit of time, but then he got hurt. But anyway, though, so I get the mentality, right? The OKC was going to build KD a statue in Oklahoma City. And the guy was like, I don't care. I'm just going to leave. We loved him in OKC. I don't care. I'm going to leave. I'm going to go ahead and go get paid some. I'm going to go win a championship with Golden State. That was back when Golden State wanted to do that. And I get that mentality. I really do. Obviously, with players, it's less about going to super teams. Well, it's every team, every single free agent would want to go to the Chiefs. Kind of funny, too, how much free agents don't want to go to, like, a Chiefs who's going to be a super team or a super team. They won 3 Super Bowls. Yeah, won a couple Super Bowls now. But the reason why is because, you know, they want to get paid. And I get that. Again, like I said, the NFL is only a short-term business. There's a mentality of, like, not for long, right? The NFL is not for long. And again, yes, you get paid as much money as you can. But at the same time, it's like, again, there's just a level. And again, maybe I'm just like an old head. Maybe I'm just like a, you know, I'm just a different era when it comes to how I think business or players should handle themselves and stuff like that. But it is what it is. Again, just rambling at this point. But tell me down below your thoughts and opinions. I'll see you guys next one. Peace.